I don't want your spot. I want my own. I want to carve out my own path. And you know where that starts? That starts in the Royal Rumble match. It's going to be crazy. Bodies flying everywhere. People trying to gang up on me. Fists, elbows, and knees coming from every single direction. But none of that matters unless these feet are planted. My head's on a swivel, and this is cock-locked and ready to rock. And I'll be just fine. Because I'm going into this thing knowing that I don't have friends. I don't have anybody watching my back. So everything I get, I earned. Because it's one versus all. And you're looking at the one. Believe that.
I know it's something that you've talked about a billion times before, but I have to ask it.
Mr. Sean Cunningham, like Mr. Sean Cunningham, like Mr. Sean Cunningham, Mr. Sean Cunningham, like saying.
I just want to say thanks. We had a blast.
Mr. Sean Cunningham, like Mr. Sean Cunningham, like saying.
I just want to say thanks. We had a blast.
Mr. Sean Cunningham, Mr. Sean Cunningham, Mr. Sean Cunningham, like saying.
I just want to say thanks. We had a blast.
We were actually blocked by Josh Matthews for the same shit.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding. I'm not.
Wow, you blocked us?
Some unfortunate incidents that occurred online. Do you know what? Do you know any Josh Matthews fans? Like,
no,
are you tight with his mother?
No, I'm not.
Like, fuck, I don't have a horse in this race. You know what I mean?
No.
And if you thought the people, like, before the people were just, like, indifferent to you, but they didn't like you, and they loved Jim Ross. So, I mean, the people absolutely hammered this guy for hours on end. I'm sure he blocked a lot more people than Warzone 2008. I'm sure there was a lot of blocking and a lot of hurt feelings going on. And by the end of this this is the funny thing. This guy's trying to...
Monday afternoon, yeah.
Right. This guy's trying to act like he's fucking CM Punk. Okay? He's trying to act like, oh... You know, I've been silent for too long, and now I'm just going to speak my mind, and I'm fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin with frosted tips. Look at me. And by the end of that day, he was saying, I'm still going to speak my mind, but I'm going to do it in a respectful and positive manner, or something like that. What that means in coded language is, Dixie Carter got on the phone with me and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Taz got on the phone with me and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I've been getting tweets and texts all day long from guys that are saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he realized very quickly, I'm not fucking CM Punk. I'm Josh Matthews. People don't like me. This is the most beloved commentator of all time, right up there with Gordon Soley, you know, the guys that, you know, you put on the pedestal.
Totally.
And a guy that's been fucked over, a guy that's been treated like shit and disrespected by a lot of people over the years. And... You know, I think it really backfired on Josh. Now, how are things going to go moving forward? You know, who knows? With him,
Jim Ross is going to have his job if Jim wants it.
Oh, if Jim wants it, I'm sure he definitely could have that job.
I don't know if he wants it.
But anyways, Jim Ross, I mean, that's a whole other story, too. I mean, there was talk he was negotiating to be the play-by-play man of Lucha Underground. Like, I'm a Lucha Underground fan, I'm a Jim Ross fan, but that's a fucking peanut butter and pickle sandwich, man. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Jim Ross was think about the trouble he was having at Wrestle Kingdom 9 with those first 3 matches of multiple men and spot.
Yeah.
Jim was like having a hard time with that. Now fucking put that in fast forward with Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground, you're not going to do that.
So anyway, but I mean, legitimately, he's been negotiating with them, but it looks like those negotiations have fallen apart. He's not the right fit for that show.
No, he's not.
But anyway, so
Impact he could probably do. I don't know about Lucha Underground. I doubt it.
But I guess, you know, maybe I should go easy on him. He did come out. He did apologize. I just thought it was so funny to see this change over, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Not even. Like, by the end of the day, he had gone from being like, yeah, it was stiff, but you deserved it, and I'm going to speak my mind now, to being like, I disrespected JR, and I'm still going to speak my mind, but in a very professional and diplomatic way. Yeah,
he was trying to get heat.
Oh,
it worked in the wrong way. He almost lost the job over.
Maybe that was what he was trying to do. Maybe he was just trying to get a bit of talk going.
About him.
But I mean, why would you want heat? You're the fucking play-by-play man of Impact. Okay, you're not Michael Cole circa whatever 2010. You're the play-by-play guy of Impact that people are probably already like, why the fuck is he here? And, you know, and now you're already getting people hating you this much. And I just wonder when he shows up at the tapings, like, if people are like laughing and being like, dude, what were you doing? Or if people are kind of like, that was disrespectful. You know, that's disrespectful to a guy that paved the way. Forget about what you think behind the scenes might have been going on. I think he might be trying to steal my job. The way you handled it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful. So the war zone disrespected you. Anyway, moving along to another Twitter battle.
Yes.
A Skittles battle.
Skittles battle.
Sorry. I was trying to mix Twitter and Twiddles. But,
there you go.
You know, taste the rainbow of homosexual tweets. And speaking of homosexual tweets.
I can't even follow that.
Speaking of homosexual crushes.
Yes.
What is with the WWE's homosexual crush on CM Punk?
Yeah,
I thought this was over with. I thought we were wishing him well in his new profession.
They're not.
What happened? What the fuck happened this week?
I don't know, man. This is odd to me.
We talk about Josh Matthews being a company puppet. Looks like another company puppet is Mr. Dolph Ziggler, who cut a little promo on SmackDown. Whoever wrote this, Vince, really putting it in the ear, whatever. They think that they're like, yeah, burn. It's like, no, that didn't even fucking make any sense. He said something about instead of accepting my punishment, it was like he's not one to run from his punishment and complain about it on some podcast or something like that. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
To that extent, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially the
well, that's what he said.
Right. That was the point of the whole promo, that he doesn't bitch about it on a podcast. He shows up to work and accepts his punishment. I mean, for fuck's sakes, could you have written him a more subservient line?
No, you couldn't.
WWE, they're just not very good at disguising.
No.
You know, the way that they really feel, and just the way that they think talent should be.
No. I do have a question now that you bring up CM Punk, because I've noticed something over the last 2 weeks, and I haven't seen anything online. So
Okay.
The status of Miss AJ.
Yeah.
She's still under contract?
You know, from everything I'm hearing, she's hurt, man.
Okay.
I know there's people that are obviously thinking otherwise, and thinking that, you know, this has come to an end. I know there was a lot of talk that there'd been a few behavioral things. What that means, who was in the wrong there, or what was going on. I can only imagine, we've said this ever since the Colt Cabana thing, and ever since CM Punk walked out, we've said this is obviously probably going to be an awkward year for her. Just because, I mean, you can't have that much heat with the company. You can't be in the middle of such a big dispute and be the wife of a guy and not feel awkward, I would assume. So what's going on right now is what I've heard, an injury. And that's been for the last little while. I know she's been... How long has it been since she's been on TV, Sean?
I want to say 2 months.
Right, so she's been away. So, like, when he showed up in UFC and everything and did the interview...
Yeah, she's not been seen since.
She's not been seen since, so...
Although she's still on all the promos, she's still on the signature for Raw.
Right, right.
She's still on the WB shop ad. She's still all over the website.
Yeah,
but...
that stuff. But, you know... As far, again, as everything I'm hearing is that it's an injury, but it does seem a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds definitely want to know.
Where to see her again.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know what's left for her. You know, people are maybe saying some things under their breath. She's not going to hold her breath, and she's not going to bite her tongue. So,
no.
You know what I mean? I don't know what's going to happen with her. I don't know what there is other than a feud with Charlotte, and once that's done, what is there?
There isn't.
She's worked everybody. She's had the programs.
She's beaten everybody.
Beaten fucking everybody. I don't know. Again, like, who else is there really on the horizon in WWE besides Charlotte that we haven't seen her wrestle?
No, there isn't.
So, anyway, I mean...
I just wondered because I hadn't seen her. I wasn't fully aware of the injury.
Yeah.
It was just one of those curiosity questions.
Well, I mean, it's being reported, like the injury, but at the same time, it's kind of being reported in that we don't necessarily know if this is legit. We just know that this is kind of the company's stance on it right now, is that she's injured. So if she is injured, and I'm pretty sure what I heard was a neck injury, if that is true, that definitely sucks. Yeah. Speaking of neck injuries,
yes.
Actually, you know, but hold on. Before we go on to talk about Daniel Bryan, the return of Daniel Bryan, and sort of what happened this fucking week with Daniel Bryan, my God. Basically what happened was Dolph Ziggler cut that promo, like I said, about not complaining on a podcast and accepting his punishment and being a good little soldier, really, essentially.
Yeah.
And WWE was so proud of this promo that they put it in quotations as their tweet. like last night or whatever. I think, yeah, it was yesterday. Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday night during.
They thought it was. Yeah, exactly. I guess maybe probably after he cut it, they put it up there as a tweet. And CM Punk responded.
Of course he did.
Very simply, very Punk-like, not emotional in any way. He just said, "Wasted arrows." Speaking of Daniel Bryan and moving into this go home episode of Raw, which I did actually sit through for the first time in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Felt like a couple months, but I think it was probably only about 3 or 4 weeks that I hadn't actually watched an episode of Raw, just sort of caught pieces online. And I mean, I knew everything that happened and whatever. And if anything seemed interesting, I'd check it out. But that was only... Whoa!
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
That is Bandito trying to get into the room.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's okay.
Sounded like a Tyrannosaurus Rex trying to get into the room. But...
No, that's Bandito scratching up against the door trying to get...
But we saw a lot of legends. We saw a lot of oldies, a lot of gray hairs, a lot of fogies.
We did.
A lot of geezers.
We did.
But you enjoyed this episode. I'll say this. From everything that I've seen of Raw and everything I've heard from everybody lately, this seemed like a better show than in recent weeks.
It was a totally better show. It was a savior event show. You know you have a big, huge event coming up in Royal Rumble. It's like their second largest event of the year. Pay-per-view or network or whatever you want to say about it now. And they had to do something to save the rating because the rating had been in the tank. And they were worried about putting eyeballs on the show. They did enough on Monday night to make people want to watch the show on a couple of different levels. And they used the legends in the appropriate way so you're not overloaded by them.
We had talked on the last episode about Brock Lesnar, and I'd said I felt like there was a babyface turn coming on the horizon. I didn't realize it was coming this week.
No, I don't think anybody did.
And you had kind of asked the question, okay, that's fine, but how? How do we get there with a guy that can't talk? And I think we saw how this week. He's Brock Lesnar. He just has to go in there and throw around a bunch of big motherfuckers.
Yes.
Kick ass. He said baby.
A lot,
which was, I think, a little subtle hint as well that he's turning baby. There's a turn coming with Paul.
You think Paul's going to turn on and go with Rollins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like the obvious way they're going to go now, unless maybe the plan is not to totally pull the trigger yet. But it seemed like from Monday that they already pulled the trigger.
They pulled the trigger to a point, but I think I wasn't so much sure, are they going to turn Lesnar completely into a babyface, or was it to get heel heat on Seth so that the crowd wouldn't cheer Seth Rollins?
So now they've just kind of, I guess, gone with the current and just said, okay, we're not going to fight this. Does Lesnar somehow come out of it with the title and turn babyface at the same time? Because that seems like something that's kind of possible as well.
Totally, and I agree. But I still think there's a way that you keep Lesnar with Heyman and turn the babyface, because Heyman gets cheered as a babyface anyway.
Heyman, although the crowd does cheer a lot of his promos because they're so good, for the most part, he still gets more heel heat than anyone in the company.
This is also 100% totally true.
Yeah, so again, I've been saying it for a while. I didn't realize they were going to make it so blatant. But Brock, his contract is coming to an end. There's been a lot of talk about his future. UFC obviously being something that he's basically what's happening with UFC is this. And Dana White, when he says it, it's 100% true. They're not negotiating, but if Brock were to become available, he would be interested in negotiating. He's openly said that. You don't think he wants Brock Lesnar back in the UFC and get some of those buy rates again? Fuck. I mean, you don't think that there's a part of Brock that is a little unhappy with the way things ended?
Totally.
The thing with Brock, too, man, and I love that they're doing this with his character, too, where he's saying, I'll see you on Sunday when I'm getting paid. That's legit. Brock's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Good for Brock. That's what I'd say at the end of the day.
And he's open about it. He doesn't care if people say, oh, you're only in it for the money. He's like, yes, I'm only in it for the fucking money. So even if this motherfucker has absolutely no intention of ever getting punched in the face again in UFC, he is going to play it up like he's going to UFC because he wants to get the best deal he can from Vince or whoever.
It's possible.
I have heard that I have heard the New Japan. I have heard the New Japan talk, and maybe people don't really realize this, but Brock Lesnar is a former IWGP champion.
That's right.
And there's a built-in story. And you know what? And it all comes back to what I'm saying right now. Do you want to know what happened with Brock Lesnar in New Japan? This is what happened.
I would, actually.
He came in, and it was still under the Inoki regime. So he went to Japan. They gave him the title very quickly. And he was the IWGP champion. And essentially, they ran out of money. They couldn't pay him to come back and defend the title. So Brock said, fuck you. See you later. He never came back to Japan. And they basically, what was going to happen is that was supposed to be the crowning of Tanahashi. Like that was supposed to be, that was when Tanahashi won his first IWGP championship, and it was supposed to be Brock Lesnar putting him over. But what happened was Brock, it wasn't anything like he wouldn't put over Tanahashi. It was just, you're not able to pay me, I'm not coming back. And so they had a tournament, and then Tanahashi won the tournament, and that was how he won his first title.
So so Brock never lost the IWGP.
Never lost the IWGP championship. So there's a real built-in story there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure Brock hated the travel of having to fly however many hours, like a whole day.
To Japan. It sucked.
But at the same time, if they can come up with just he only needs to do a couple dates. Like, I mean, how many dates did he even do with WWE, for God's sakes?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, too. You have WWE, and you and I talked, we said, oh, he'll do pre-tapes, he'll do something. Yeah, no.
Even if you just fucking have him send in videos, say he's going to be at Wrestle Kingdom and he works just Wrestle Kingdom, I mean, that would be worth the money. That would be worth the money. I know New Japan this past year, I think they grossed about $14.4 million. That was their grossing of 2014. So again, Brock Lesnar's pretty fucking hefty price tag. But how much would he ask for just to come in and work one match? And cut a few things and send it over. And if New Japan offers the best deal of being able to give him the most time at home and make the most money and not have to go anywhere and only have to come one time, it's like, then he may take it. But we'll see. We'll see how things go, man. He made, how much was it this past year? It was like $3 million a year?
Yeah, to do what, 12 dates, maybe?
To do 12 dates. So how much would he ask New Japan to do one show?
For one date? $500,000.
Yeah, I think they might fucking do it, man.
You'd squeeze $500,000 out.
So again, really what it comes down to is, does WWE want another year of paying him that? Because he's not going to take less. That's not an option.
For less money. Second of all, I'm not sure he signs a new deal with more dates.
And more dates, right. That's another thing, too. You could see them being like, okay, we'll give you that money again, but you're going to have to work a bunch more dates now. Or even 5. I bet even with Brock, if they said 5 more dates, he'd be like, oh, no. You know? Yeah. Brock's all about the Benjis, and he's all about spending time in his little isolation. And
he's an odd guy.
he's not in it for the glamour. He's not in it for the fame or the fortune. I don't think it bothered him at all to lay down for anybody.
No.
I think for him, it's 100% about the money. He knows that he's a tough guy. He knows that people aren't stupid enough to think that, you know, Triple H actually could fight him and beat him in a shoot.
No.
So I just think it doesn't bother him. He's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit on this money. Now, what does he do with this money? I have no fucking clue. This guy probably doesn't even have running water. Like, what is he doing with this money?
Well, he has I imagine a wife with a shopping habit. Let's just say that.
If you're talking about fun bags, then yeah, you're probably right. But anyway, we should not say anything more about that.
No, we'll get in trouble.
She's a lovely woman, and actually she's aged very nicely.
I've met her. I had the chance to meet her several years ago.
You did? I've never heard this story, Sean Cunningham.
I did.
What was she all about?
She was actually very nice and very polite. I met her at a signing along with a bunch of other at-the-time WWE people, and she was very nice and polite.
Now explain, was this during her second run?
Yeah.
When she came back?
This was 2002.
After suing the company and all that shit?
Yes.
And then she came back and was Vince's, like, play toy, right?
Yes.
That was so weird. And that was actually when she met Brock, too, wasn't it? That was
yes, Brock was there.
Was introduced to the Mr. Eyebrowless Lesnar.
You're gonna get us in so much trouble, dude. Dude,
we've been talking this whole time about how Brock just doesn't like to leave his house. Do you think he's really gonna fly to fucking Port Hope and be like, no? Do you think he's hearing this right now?
No, you're probably
absolutely
right.
not. Unless he's listening to us on some kind of like radio app, like for his car. Although,
Yes.
what do you think Brock listens to when he's cruising down the highway in his pickup truck?
I'll bet you some country music. That's what I'm betting on.
I picture him in silence. I think that the country would just be too upbeat for him, for his mood.
Yeah.
And I don't
Probably
imagine,
right.
or maybe he's more of like an AC/DC kind of guy, like not a lot of emotion. That's all I think. When I think of Brock, the music he would listen to would be something that didn't bring out any emotion,
Yeah.
other than I'm gonna kick ass. I'm gonna fucking.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. But
I'm gonna get a big penis tattooed on my chest, and I'm gonna fucking kick ass and listen to AC/DC.
You're probably right now that I think that actually makes more sense.
But then the other side of me just thinks, yeah, he drives in silence.
Yes.
Complete angry silence.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So Daniel Bryan's back.
Yes.
They're bringing him back. The crowd's a little too hot. We want to cool him down
Yes.
because it's not about him.
No.
It's supposed to be about Roman Reigns.
Yes. Totally. That I'll admit to openly.
I don't know what's gonna happen. Triple H had a meeting with talent. I think this has been pretty widely reported now.
Yes.
He had a meeting a few weeks back in the locker room. He kind of almost said the same thing Vince said on Austin's podcast about guys having to step up and guys having to grab the brass ring and all that crap.
Yeah.
But he also said that the Royal Rumble winner is not decided yet,
right now.
which was news to a lot of people, including Roman Reigns, because he thought that he was winning
It's
the
gonna
Rumble.
be him.
But he said that the Royal Rumble winner is not decided yet. Everyone's got to work hard. Everybody's still in consideration type of thing.
And I think the only reason there's a split is because nobody was sure they'd get Bryan back.
Yeah, now he's back. The crowd, as you say, probably likes him a little too much for what they're trying to do.
And I still think Bryan is a possibility for Sunday, and probably a stronger possibility than Roman Reigns.
Well, obviously, I mean, they were telling the story for SmackDown that he was fighting Kane. But at the same time, man, this guy's just come back. The crowd's so happy to see him, and you're having him lay down to Bray Wyatt. I understand there's a possibility that Bray Wyatt may be fighting The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
You put the belt back on Cena. What about the possibility of Rusev?
Rusev and Cena for the belt.
Yes.
See, when all is said and done, the way I feel right now, what an interesting time it is right now, to be honest with you. I mean, WWE programming hasn't been that interesting, but this whole debate is really interesting.
Because now you don't know where they're going.
Because I really, truly don't know where they're going. Because the bottom line is, Roman Reigns has fallen flat. Time and time and time again.
Roman Reigns has fallen flat. You had Dolph Ziggler as hot as anything, and you took him off TV. I understand it was for a story purpose, but you did it.
It's just so completely absurd, Sean, because
Yeah.
what has Roman Reigns done? And I feel like I'm always knocking the guy, and I don't mean to. I just honestly want to know, you're putting the entire stock of the company into a guy that has never had one good singles match? You're putting the entire stock of the company into a guy who's never cut one good promo?
Yeah,
Nobody, no top guy in the history of this company has ever become the man with not having anything more than a look. Nobody can tell me that Cena, because Cena had a lot more than a look, and you would have to agree with that. People can knock John Cena all day long.
Yeah.
That guy had a lot more than a look.
John Cena learned how to cut a funny promo. John Cena showed that he cared about wrestling. Is he uncoordinated as crap? Yes.
And he got over. That was what people don't remember. Like
He was over.
When they gave him the ball, he was over.
He was the guy.
People liked that rap gimmick. He was still coming off of that, and they thought he was funny. Like, he wasn't the modern-day cornball John Cena that we see today.
And you also had a heel in JBL at the time who people just hated.
Right.
You could have stuck anything in there with JBL, and it would have got over at the time. Like, JBL had so much heat on him, it was ridiculous.
But my point is that people, like, were into Cena. Like, his matches weren't dead silence.
No.
Roman Reigns, it seems like the crowd's into him when he comes to the ring, and then they just could not care less.
It's horrible until you see the two spots that are the Superman punch and the spear, and that's when they wake up.
And Cena, as uncoordinated as he is, he had a nice little collection of good matches under his wing at that point. Now, mind you, it was thanks to guys like Eddie,
Jericho, Undertaker, and
Benoit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, you know, Roman can't say that. No. He's now going into Royal Rumble weekend where he's rumored as the favorite to win and fight Brock Lesnar and win the title and be the next man, the next John Cena. And he has not had one good singles match.
And he's cold.
His promos have fallen completely flat. Now, that's not his fault entirely. That's mostly, I would say,
writer's fault.
the fault of the material. But, Vince McMahon, ladies and gentlemen, we can say the writers, this, that, and the third. Vince McMahon has openly come out and said that he's the man behind the Roman Reigns character and the Roman Reigns push. So blame Vince. Blame Vince for the fact that he doesn't know how to make a star anymore. If you did, why would you have him out there saying suffering succotash? Why would you have him out there talking about Jack and the fucking Beanstalk? Vince doesn't know who this guy's character is. He doesn't understand. He thinks that promos need to be funny and cute. But, the kids, they love John Cena. They love him even when he says ashhole.
Yes.
Will the kids love Roman Reigns?
I don't think so.
Maybe they will. Maybe they will.
Well, the other thing is I think the kids love Daniel Bryan, too.
But how? Yeah, they do. They do. And this is my argument, Sean. To get the crowd to react to a wrestler, that's the hard part. Because I know that a reaction doesn't necessarily equal money. A reaction doesn't necessarily equal ratings. But it's something to fucking build on.
That's right.
And they seem to constantly say, well, when there's a reaction we don't want, we're not going to go with it. We're going to fight against it and give this guy the opportunity who doesn't get that reaction. No. And I just think that's so ridiculous because the product has felt so stale. The product has 3 hours of a dead crowd. That's hard to get through. 3 hours of a hot crowd that's into what they're seeing, that's not as hard to get to. That's fine.
Well, understand, Sunday we'll be able to get through by default because Sunday, at least for 1 hour, probably an hour 45, that crowd will be hot regardless of what's put in front of them. Because the Royal Rumble matches always gets heat. It's never cold.
No, it's never cold, and this year could be hotter. This year could be hotter than ever. Because I got to ask you, how do you book this one?
I got a clue.
This is really going to, and this is really going to be an interesting psychoanalysis on Vince when this whole thing comes to pass this weekend.
Yeah.
Because how aware is Vince McMahon? How in touch is Vince McMahon? Does Vince McMahon think that he really does control the WWE universe and I'll give you what I give you, goddammit, and you're going to like it? Or did last year really give him a bit of a wake-up call that he needs to be a little bit smarter with the way he handles this?
People are still talking about the reactions that came out of that crowd last year. Like, WB was stupid enough after Raw this Monday to put the Royal Rumble match from last year on the live stream of the network. Okay? I watched that match again, just for the sake of argument. They booed through 45 minutes of that match, straight through. It was either booing or Daniel Bryan chants. That was the entire match.
And you know what, too, is like, following that pay-per-view, the vibe, as much as the crowd was hostile and everything and the way they reacted, and it was at least interesting, it was newsworthy, and there was stuff to talk about on podcasts and blogs the next day. But the bottom line is most people just felt like it really was a downer. It wasn't something where people were like, oh, man, the crowd, shit on Batista, it was so awesome. People were just down. It was the fact that Vince thought he could control the situation, and he learned very quickly that he could not.
No.
You can't just force this down the people's throats when they want this. You can't just leave this guy out of the Rumble and people will forget about him.
No.
They turned Rey Mysterio heel that night, for God's sakes. Who's ever done that? Who has ever done that, even when Rey was a heel in WCW?
God.
So
Rey comes out at 30, and the booing is just so loud.
Like, that takes some talent to be able to turn Rey Mysterio heel.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to know for myself, did Vince learn from last year, or does he think this year is a different story, and he says, oh, they love Roman Reigns. They'll be okay with it.
No, they won't.
And one way or the other, whether it's Reigns throwing out Bryan and capitalizing on the heat, or whether it's everyone assuming Reigns is throwing up Bryan and you use that to your advantage to have Bryan win, and it's the big feel-good moment of, oh my God, I didn't think he'd actually win, and he did. I mean, it all depends where we stand right now with the main event picture of WrestleMania, because it seems like it seems really to me like things have been completely shuffled now.
They don't have a clear direction coming into this pay-per-view. We may have one coming out of it, but I don't know.
Right. It just seems like forever the plan's been Roman Reigns versus Brock. Bada bing, bada bang, that's the end of the story. And
I'm not sure now.
Now it seems like it could be Rollins versus Reigns. I don't think anyone can rule that out. I have a feeling coming out of the Royal Rumble that Seth Rollins is going to be the champion.
Yeah, they could do that too.
Because, again, you can't forget he's got the money in the bank.
And they're teasing that.
And they're playing it up.
Yeah.
And the question is, do they do something where Cena wins the title from Brock, and then before the night is over, Seth, or even right after Cena wins the title, Seth cashes in?
Yeah.
And gives him the curb stomp?
Or do we go back to, I wondered about this, because they're playing up that briefcase something large. I wondered, does Dean Ambrose come running out again and stop the cash-in again?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they've kind of dropped that. Man, have they ever just completely butchered fucking Ambrose.
Yes.
I just can't. Of all the guys that I thought would be fine and they would know how to book, of the young guys and the guys from the Shield after breaking them up.
They can't do it.
Who would have fucking thought that Seth Rollins would be the biggest star of those three?
That wasn't me.
Like, for God's sakes, he seems to be the one that's going to have his first world title. He's the one that seems to not shit the bed in his promos, and he's the one who seems to be given the best material, and Dean is given fucking psychiatrist skits.
Well, can I segue something else that was possibly going to be given to Bray Wyatt, who got essentially buried on Monday by a bunch of old farts?
Go ahead.
The Ascension.
Right, they were going to put the Ascension with Bray Wyatt.
They were. I don't know if that's still going to happen. I guess not. Because what they did on Monday, as much as I liked seeing at the NWO and the APA and the Outlaws, you took two young guys who were at NXT Tag Champ for a year, legit a year, and buried them in 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And there's the disconnect right there between Vince and Hunter.
Yep.
And when you hear about this sort of strained business relationship that they have these days, it's because Hunter builds up guys, whatever, Ryan Ward or whatever the writer's name of NXT, they build up these guys, and then Vince says, "Oh, god damn it, bring them up here, we're ready." And then he brings them in, and he thinks they're the shits, just cause they're NXT guys, and then he has to bury them, give them this ridiculous makeup.
Demolition or...
But that's the thing, they're supposed to be the Demolition or the LOD. Those guys had tough-looking makeup. This guy's got fucking butterflies and shit, like, tattooed near his eye.
Yeah, I know.
Like, come on, man. And then they have these ridiculous, like, they're this parody of a 1980s face paint tag team. That's what they are.
And they go out cutting promos saying, we're better than LOD, better than Demolition, better. And then they get in the ring with the NWO, the APA, and the Outlaws and get destroyed.
Get humiliated. And not even just destroyed, they get humiliated.
Yeah.
They're there talking some shit, saying we're going to end the NWO or whatever, we're going to finish you guys off. And Hall's there, can't even walk, but he's doing the fucking wiggly fingers.
Yeah.
Nash is so stoned.
He's like just standing there.
He's just standing there like with a smile on his face. He's just sitting there like he's about to start laughing. Which, by the way, that I will say, one thing on Raw that was funny, and it's very rare that anything funny happens on Raw.
Yes.
Usually they try to write comedy and it just falls flat. But the whole blooper reel that they decided to keep of Triple H and the Clique with the Miz and Mizdow,
Yeah.
that was some funny stuff. I will not try to deny it. Again, we've been talking about this till we're blue in the face, the two different schools of thought. I know Daniel Bryan wants to wrestle Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but are the WWE, was that booking that we saw this past week, again, just to keep it in our minds that this guy's the underdog, that he's vulnerable, that he can lose? Or was this, like you say, them trying to right out of the gate cool him down and make sure people realize this guy's in a new role now. He's not where he was last year. We're not going there again.
I think that's what they tried to do, although I believed it failed. And if the story is true that they haven't decided, I think when it comes to WrestleMania, they do tend to make the right decisions. Even when it came to last year when they were pushed into a corner, they don't want to get pushed into that corner again. The right decision is probably Bryan, and I hope they make it, but I'm not sure.
Now, Bryan and who?
Bryan and Brock is probably the right decision.
So this babyface Brock Lesnar, baby. We didn't see that for no reason.
No, I know.
And the question is, if he's turning babyface, I don't think that he's going to work Bryan. Doesn't mean that Reigns. I mean, the most logical thing, if Reigns is going to win, I've said this since the beginning, and I still say it now, is that Reigns and Bryan at the end of the Rumble and Reigns does something dirty, and he throws out Bryan. And Reigns is a heel, and you go into WrestleMania with Reigns as the heel. Fuck, man, you could even have Paul Heyman all of a sudden show up at ringside and help to pull Bryan out or something like that. All of a sudden, you're starting this new thing with Heyman and Bryan, and Reigns is now under the Heyman tutelage as well. And you could do something where, again, we are going to Brock as world champion against Reigns, but it's just a reversal of the roles.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're getting, and at the very least, I can say I'm interested in the Royal Rumble this year for that reason.
Totally. I am totally interested, and I will be watching Sunday.
It's a 2-match show, though. I will say that much.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing underneath that's any good.
We've got the Brock versus Cena versus Seth match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah. When was the last World Heavyweight Championship defense on a WWE pay-per-view?
September.
Anyway, we got the WWE Tag Team Championship match, the Usos versus The Miz and Mizdow. Doesn't matter. We've seen them wrestle way too much.
Doesn't matter, and I think we start seeing the tease the Miz and Mizdow split.
The Bella Twins versus Natalya and Paige. Again, that's a Raw match. That's a SmackDown match. That's a main event match. That's not a Royal Rumble match. The New Day versus Tyson Kidd, Cesaro and Adam Rose. I like Cesaro. I like Tyson Kidd. I still think that's a terrible match for a pay-per-view.
Well, that's why it's on the quote-unquote pre-show.
Oh, it is? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
It is.
This one, unfortunately, is not. The Ascension versus the New Age Outlaws. I predict sub-zero temperatures for that match.
Agreed, but I also somehow predict the New Age Outlaws going over.
Oh, jeez. And then the fucking Ascension rides off into the sunset.
Yeah, back to NXT.
WWE Royal Rumble match. Confirmed superstars Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Rusev, Bad News Barrett, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, Goldust, Stardust, Big Show, Kane, The Miz, Damian Mizdow, R-Truth, Fernando, Diego, Fandango, and Justin Gabriel. So Sean, before we get out of here, I got to put you on the spot here, much like Michael Cole did with Vince McMahon. Who will win the Royal Rumble when all is said and done on Sunday night?
My heart wants to be Daniel Bryan, but I think it's going to be Roman Reigns.
So your prediction is Roman Reigns?
Yes.
But anyway, for myself, from Sean Cunningham, Sean's predicting Roman Reigns, I'm predicting Daniel Bryan. We're going safe. At least one of us will be right. Unless, again, Rusev does win. But Mr. Shansuke, you enjoy your weekend. You enjoy the Royal Rumble.
I will be on Twitter on Sunday evening.
Oh, yes. You will be doing your live tweeting during the pay-per-view, yes?
Yes.
Do you have a minute or two to explain this new WWE Network situation here in
Canada?
I guess
I should do that.
And then we'll take it home.
Very quickly. What it is we now have access to the WWE Network online if you subscribe to the network through cable. So you now have the option to watch it. You can watch things on the live stream on your television. You can watch a little bit of on-demand content on your television, or you can access the entire network on your laptop or your tablet.
But from myself, from Shansuke, we want to say peace, love. Shanzi, tell them the rest.
Wrestling Audio Revolution.